Today's guest is Robert Roth, a Miami based entrepreneur who's built an affiliate marketing operation to eight figures in annual run rates, runs multiple companies simultaneously across solar, agencies, and consulting, and somehow fits international rock and roll piano performances in between on cruise ships. He believes passion isn't a distraction from business, it's the engine. So, Robert, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for inviting me. I'm super excited being here.
Tell us, what's been your most significant lesson that you've learned this past year?
That's really a great question. Maybe before that, if you allow me to just hop on a couple of things that you've said in the intro real quick,
Yes.
just to
Yes.
be like super transparent, also eight-figure company. I just don't want it to sound like, okay, this was a company that I was the only owner that has built it. It was more like we have created like $1 million roughly a month in revenues, but I was together with all our partners. And what we have done in this project is like we have generated all the traffic on the internet that has created that. And if you would literally boil it down to the profits that we would have made, that's a different calculation, but want to be transparent about that. But still, I would say it was great learnings for me. Yeah, hopping to your question,
Yeah.
my biggest learnings from last year, I would say it boils down to more and more in general what I'm doing, and especially last year also what I've done a lot more than before is literally talking to more people than I've ever talked to. Network, business networking, because in the end, you just never know what happens in those conversations. And I'm organizing a lot of network meetings myself. And also I'm preparing circles and masterminds and all of and I'm just seeing the effects of talking to an incredible amount of people. Like literally you could imagine I have basically half my day or almost all my days is talking to new people and basically figuring out how can I help them and how can we produce opportunities. And it's crazy what's coming along and things you would never imagine.
Absolutely. I think networking is kind of the X factor, right? I think just me as an introvert, like networking doesn't come naturally to me. I kind of have to just do it because I know it's important. And every time I do it, I'm like, wow, I'm glad I did it because you meet new people, you find new ways to connect the dots, right? I mean, for you, like, I mean, we know each other for some time now. I mean, you stress the importance of being in the right rooms, of like curating the right crowd. So you have good kind of perspectives by you. You know how to like think through your problems.
100%. That's actually great you're saying that. Literally yesterday, we got that feedback from somebody who joined a network meeting that we organized, said like, hey, wow, this was a great opportunity to actually get instant feedback from my market about how I'm presenting myself and actually my offer. And she was able to actually rewrite certain things immediately afterwards. And that's a huge, huge advantage if you have that opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. And just give the audience a little bit of context. I know just you have a kind of wide range of where you've been, but maybe tell us like, where you're from, like, your kind of like career in a nutshell.
Yeah, for sure. So where I'm from, I'm born and raised in Austria. Now I'm 41 and a half years old, but when I was 30, I left there because I like summer so much better than winter. So since a good 10 years, I'm living in tropical countries only. Lived on a Caribbean island and for quite a while now in the Pacific. Yeah, entrepreneurial journey. There's a lot that has gone on in my life. Like my first, I've never was employed. My first business when I was 17 started in software. Was just interested. I was programming day and night instead of learning for school. And did that for maybe 10 years professionally, like 7 years or so, and then switched my career to personal growth, personal development. So invested a lot of money first in myself and in professional education, and then did public speaking, a lot of coaching, helped other people to grow in their life, and at the same time, that was a parallel thing. Became a professional piano player, so figured out how that works, started making money, playing concerts, and got invited over the years also to really big festivals in the boogie-woogie piano niche, including at some point then the biggest festival in the world, main stage. Super
Yeah.
exciting. And, so that's about maybe 15 years of my career
Yeah.
until that. And then when I left Austria, I figured, okay, it's a good idea to to figure out how online marketing works, and so that's how I slipped into this world. And then those that I was building, they were all connected somehow to online marketing, and since then a lot has happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the dots always connect when you're looking back, but not so much when you're looking forward, right? But yeah, I mean, I think being unemployable, I think that's something that a lot of people can resonate with. I'm certainly one of those people. Early on in my career, I was trying to fit in and stuff. I was like applying for jobs, but I just didn't know either like how to properly interview for them, but then also like I really just didn't like sitting somewhere and like getting told what to do. So I think I had it written out for me. So what was it like, for you at a young age to be like, I'm going to start my own thing and like never to look for a job?
Yeah, interesting question. Actually, I had a moment there, literally. I think it was probably 16 years old, still in school. And then what we do in Austria, at least, is when it's summertime, you have school break, and then you would maybe take on a job, right? And then that's what I did, took on a job. And after 2 weeks, I was like, hey, how can somebody live the life like this? You get up super early in the morning, and then it takes all this time until you're in some office. Somebody is telling you what to do, how to do, and when to do it, whatever. And then you go home, the day is basically done, your energy is done. And I was like, that's not happening for me. So after 2 weeks of doing that, I literally made a decision for my life. I will never have a job. And so far, that's that has happened for my life. And then once I was 17, my first opportunity just came up to me like, hey, you know how to program stuff. Can you program this? And I said yes. And that was my first contract. So that's how I figured out that's my, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone's got like a slightly different entrepreneurship journey, and to be able to start from that young of an age and like stick with it too. I mean, I think a lot of people they either go in and out because sometime it's like in entrepreneurship, like if you're not making money for some time and like the bills are due, then the pressure comes and you make different decisions. So, I mean, has that ever happened to you? Like, do you ever feel like, maybe I should get a job, or how did you get through the tougher moments?
Many times. I mean, probably every entrepreneur has at least once experienced this. And yeah, absolutely, many, many times. Like I had also broke years even. And I mean, maybe the most extreme moment that I can recall was when I was living on a Caribbean island already, and then we had invested everything into this project, and then even collected some outside investments money, and literally were reinvesting all the money that we made into the project so hardcore that we just barely could pay for rent and food. And then there was this moment I had my back then girlfriend visit me. Like I was living on the Caribbean island close to Costa Rica, but she was from Jamaica. So I was getting her from the airport. She was spending some couple of weeks with me. And then I was bringing her back when she's flying out. And then it was the 5th or 6th of January, beginning of the month. And I had like $20 left for the rest of my month, which I needed also to buy food, right? And a little tiny bit of food. So, and then I had to figure out how to survive that. And what I did was I literally went out and took my fishing rod, caught fish every day. And then I cooked that fish, ate that fish, and then figured out how to get rent again for the next and do it all over again. Uh, there's always a way.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I love it. I mean, literally, like you don't have to pay for groceries if you just fish for food.
Somebody should have told me that earlier. That was very useful then. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
I have
definitely.
to afford food again.
Yeah, I think it's like, to succeed as an entrepreneur, like you almost have to just have that resilience in you that like you'll be okay no matter what. Because, I think, you know, for me, I think of the worst case, not because I think it's going to happen, but I just think of it so that I could be prepared. That way, if it ever does happen, then like I'm ready to do that. And yeah, like being resourceful is absolutely a superpower. I think a lot of people, especially when you're not in the US, like you view money a little bit differently. I might be generalizing here, but Americans like they just spend and spend and spend. Like they throw it on the credit card. They don't think twice, right? Versus for us, we're like, okay, how do we make the balance budget or like the budget balance this month, right?
I mean, it helps to have finances in order. That's
Yeah.
one big thing that I definitely learned as well along the way. Like if I look back couple of years or many years in my own life, then definitely I did not have my finances in order. And now, like everything is, I have budgets for everything. I'm very clear where money will go. The money that is on different accounts, like there's a plan for everything, and it just having this in order, figuring this out, and start to operate like this. For me, definitely, that was a game changer for
Mm.
business as well as also for the personal life.
Yeah. And how did you kind of learn about your money plan? Did you have like, I don't know, like advisors, like wealth advisors that you asked, or like did you learn it on your own?
That's a great question. I would say, I mean, first of all, a lot of it is it's not complicated, right? It's like basically spend less than you make, right? And then that's the game. But I would say people also that I had in my environment definitely have influenced me or kind of inspired me, to actually do this, right? Spend less than you make, organize the money, invest the money. Also, not only in business but also outside of business. It's just it's like a garden. You plant those seeds and it grows if you continue to take care of it. And it's a completely different feeling also that you have in life. Obviously, you start feeling like if you
Yeah.
think back, or personally, if I think back and I had, um, I was in debt, right? And
Yeah.
then you work yourself out. You don't have any debt anymore, right? You rather have a lot of assets and cash flow streams. Then I mean, obviously, that feels a lot better, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the people that go in debt, and get out, you learn a very valuable lesson there. Um, and yeah, I mean, when it comes to like money and stuff, like there's certainly like businesses that are better than others, right? I think you being in many different businesses, you kind of get to see that unique perspective of like, okay, this is a good return on my investment, and investment being like my time, my energy, my effort, resources, including money. But yeah, I mean, for you, like, how did you kind of settle on what you're doing now, and like, what were endeavors that maybe wasn't as worth it?
Oh, that's a great question. For me personally, as a proponent of personal development, I believe there is something you are born for. There's a way to figure this out. And the way to figure this out, I believe, is maybe trying a lot of things, right? If you have no idea about it all, and then learn, okay, what I'm a super interested about, what I'm super attracted to. And then the more you do and try out and focus more on motives of those things that really are attractive for you, the more you will figure out the path. So therefore, for me personally, I was doing this for so many years now. And for me, it's very clear what I'm there for. I mean, that's exactly what I'm doing. Like I love growing businesses. So right now I'm investing, I'm building, and I'm mentoring 6-figure and 7-figure businesses. And I also have ownership in businesses of that size in multiple. And I just love doing that. I just love improving teams and systems and visions and actually make results happen. And then the second part is also, I mean, playing piano. It's something that I've lost for a while, but came back, and yeah, it's just for me personally great fun. Plus, also speaking on stages. It's just a combination that has developed for me personally. And the tricky part was figure out, and I'm still on that path, like how to
Yeah.
integrate all of that in a life that works, right, and that
Mm.
works well when you not only look at the business side, but I mean why you want to make money. You want to build it for yourself as well. That's a big part of it. It all needs to get together. Family, health.
Yeah. It's definitely important to kind of build your life with intention and stuff. And yeah, I mean, to what I was saying earlier, it's kind of hard to make the dots connect. So I mean, for you, like, you're going after what you're passionate about. Like piano is something that you enjoy. But who knows? I mean, if it makes money, but at the same time, not everything needs to make money. You do some things for yourself, you do other things for the world that's valuable, but you have to enjoy life too.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
So, how did you? I mean, so you picked up piano recently, or later on in life?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I had 2 years or 2.5 years piano lessons when I was like 12 or so, but it was Mozart and piano theory and stuff that I wasn't interested in. That's why I gave up. And then I'd say it found me later on when I was in my early 20s. And
Okay.
saw a piano player. He was a boogie-woogie piano player. He played rock and roll, boogie-woogie, blues, and
Yeah.
hands and feet, no sheet music there. Everybody was in the room, and I was so excited about that that I made a
Yeah.
decision when I was just in a moment of my life when I figured, okay, I want to switch away from software development, but I didn't know what to do. But already had to do the software development stuff because I knew it's a hard cut, new life coming, and then this
Yeah.
kind of found me in that moment, and then I made a decision to figure this out. So
Yeah.
basically, I removed from my piano and started to put in a CD, press play, pause, try to find the notes, and found my own way to
Oh
learn this.
wow.
Yeah, and then it became a career.
So you taught yourself for the most part?
I would say so. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
it's a lot of work. Everybody can do that, but it takes effort. If you sit and think at the piano for 6 or 7 hours every day, and you do
Hmm.
this for a couple of years, you will make a lot of progress.
Yeah. What were some of the challenges that you overcome, or like, the kind of unlocks to the next level of your progress?
You mean with piano playing?
Yeah.
Or I mean, it depends on the level of where you are and where you want to get to. I think, like for me
Mm.
personally, I mean, now I've transformed myself more into a rock and roll piano player. I see
Mm.
myself. I mean, now I perform on cruise ships,
Yeah.
um, not on big stages. I'm using
So
bigger
cool.
stage from back then. Was organizing a festival also that with you know a concert hall, 750 people in there, so quite a
Mm.
sizable audience for that niche, international size event in this
Mm.
niche, this small niche. But yeah, I'm seeing myself going back to those type of stages. I'm just doing that a little bit now, but more like Jerry Lee Lewis style rock and roll piano. That's my personal way of developing to the next step, and it's just
Mm.
it's a good thing to have a vision and then work on that. I'm just enjoying the journey
Mm.
and there, and it's coming together.
Yeah, for sure. And there is no right or wrong when it comes to life, right? I think it's just like you should design a life that serves you first off, and then ultimately serves others, because you have to serve yourself before you could serve others, because like you can't pour out from an empty cup.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, and I mean, there's one thing I'd like to add, like the bringing life together so that it all works. Like that's an example that came up in my life because now I'm
Mm.
playing piano on cruise ships for several months in a
Mm.
year, which is great because first of all, I get paid to play piano. Second of all, I get paid to travel, which is one of my favorite things to do. Third of all, there's internet on cruise ships today.
Yeah.
Tesla or Starlink
Yeah.
makes it happen, right? And it's good enough to I have my laptop there and I run my business as usual. That brings it all together. And then when I have my wife with me, I mean, what else do you want?
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah,
That's great. I mean, and you can have businesses as well. I mean, you sort of started your businesses with that kind of constraint in mind, right? You're like, I don't want to meet people in person. Like, I just want to do this on my laptop, and I could do it anywhere.
yeah, 100% possible. Like I
Mm.
do this about a decade now. But
Yeah.
personally, I'm looking forward to actually going to more congresses and events in order to meet more people in person as well.
Mm.
Now that happens sporadically, like when clients fly in and we meet for like a vacation or so,
Yeah.
which is super exciting also.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving on to the business side, like you have like a solar company and then like an agency and a consulting firm. Which one takes up most of your time, or is it kind of like juggling?
I mean, I would say it's intertwined because basically the consulting or business mentoring part, let's say that's at the core. That's just what I do. And the ownership in those other companies that you've just mentioned, the solar company that's in Utah, which super great. Like we potentially turn into an 8-figure company this year. We will find out, but that's great. And the agencies are maybe mid 6-figure companies. But basically, they come all out of business mentoring consulting. And then, I just love the idea of having, being invested in projects for real. So therefore, you really want to make them grow. And the more they grow, the more everybody profits. That's a great way of doing entrepreneurship, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. And I know we had a really interesting conversation last time about just marketing and stuff and like that. That's something that you like a lot too. So what are you kind of doing with your business and like what are you seeing out there?
Marketing. Can you specify that a little more?
Yeah, so you have like you're helping people like grow their businesses, especially with social media, right?
Not especially. It's just
Oh,
one
okay.
of the ways. I mean, it
Yeah.
depends, I believe, on the company that you have, and then there is maybe one channel that might work best to grow that company. And I believe the
Mm,
first would be to figure out which channel that is. I mean, where are your clients? That's the first question. Where can you find them, or where can
mhm.
they find you if you make yourself more findable on that channel? And I believe that's the first task to figure that out, and then do as much as possible of that.
Yeah. So when you're working with these people, you're basically like these business owners. Like, what's kind of your role? You're kind of seeing like, okay, how do we grow your business? What's kind of your process like?
That's a great question. That depends on how we define the way we work together. But let's say when I'm hopping on as a partner that helps the company to grow, or somebody books me as a mentor, then that often kind of ends up in a partnership like that. Basically, whatever is needed and I can bring, and typically that is strategic advice. So we're making sure we're doing the right things in the right order, and then we're doing them the right way. So we just get the results quicker, right? That's one typical thing. Also, sometimes I bring other resources. So that means there's, for example, for the solar company, we also brought some cash, right? In the beginning, like we started this from zero. Then very often, that's a typical thing. I help, of course, find the right people also. So I have a pretty good network, which I'm super happy about. And I'm actively growing this and investing a lot of my time and efforts into that network. So it's typical to find clients also, or it's typical to find other partners that can then help the company to grow. So, and that's where I really focus is on.
Gosh, and so I mean, you must have working with like a lot of people from like different walks in life and stuff. And what's like one common thing that you're helping people solve for?
You mean my clients or partners?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly that. Like, I mean, I think if I had to pick one thing for partners where I'm coming in, especially in the strategic role, is literally keeping the CEO on track of the things.
Mm,
Easy to be creative or be thinking, okay, hey, what we're doing right now, not sure if it's the right path because of whatever reasons. Things take longer sometimes than you think they would, right? They take more effort, whatever. But literally just keeping on track with what you know out of experience is the right thing you do, right? Then if you continue doing that right thing, that is one key factor, which I can see if I wouldn't be on there, would not be happening many times. Ultimately, that's the reason also why a lot of businesses are getting stuck somewhere,
mm,
because they shiny object syndrome, great name for it, right? You have built some business, you have built some income, and then you see something where you believe now, oh, that's making me a lot more money, right? And then you change the lanes, maybe you even start doing a completely different business, right? Stop what's already working, start building something new, and that's best way how to lose momentum. The same goes for if you have a business and then you have something that is already working. Instead of pushing, more and more, go full throttle on that line, you would go ahead. Okay, let's try this marketing strategy. Let's try this tactic and that, and you hop around, and that's not a good way to do it.
yeah, I think yeah, shiny object syndrome is very hard to avoid it because I mean I have definitely had my fair share of like maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that, so we should invest in this. But yeah, I think when you want good results, like you need to be valuable in the marketplace. And how do you become valuable in the marketplace? Takes a lot of work. I mean, you were practicing piano for so many hours over those years to become competent, right? And how do you get competent at something new? I mean, you're starting from almost square one for a lot of people.
Yeah, it depends on what you've got in experience, and then of course, if you have experience in areas where you can pull out some knowledge or whatever, and then bring that together, the path is much shorter very often. But definitely, I mean, it's putting in the effort and figuring it out. And value to the marketplace is just like okay, what do people need? Your clients, what do they need? Where, for me personally, it's also what type of person do I want to become in the future when I'm continuing, developing myself, developing my skills, etc. Sharpen that point of contact of what does the market need and what do I want to become as a person on the highest skill level.
Mm.
Therefore, it will become really valuable for um, a specific niche in the market.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's
Uh,
that's you read it everywhere, but to actually do that, I believe that's one of the most powerful things somebody could ever do. And the key again
mm,
is sticking with it. Like it takes years to practice piano and get to some level, so you can
yeah,
good
for,
about being on the stage, right? And it's the
yeah,
same for business, right? Only the skill of whatever you need to deliver
yeah,
for your client. That's a service or an investment offer, like you have, right? I mean,
mm,
there's like a lot more to it, right? You need to practice
right.
market, sales, operations, all of that
Yeah,
different. And
for
by
sure, for
combining,
sure.
becoming a compounding machine.
Yeah, I think, if you lean into what makes you unique, then you come out with kind of a unique value proposition. And that's what you learn in school, right? Like you need to have a unique solution that only you can do the best. And you get to there by being true to yourself, by doing things like piano and not being afraid to just go off the path. Because I think a lot of people they just think like, if I become an accountant, I can make a lot of money, or if I become a doctor, I can make a lot of money. And like they don't really leave room for their interests and to explore different things.
I believe so. I mean, there's different ways to success. Depends on how you define success. If you just want the money, then you can become a lawyer even if you hate it and you do it
Mhm.
and it's great. I personally define success also based on like, am I fulfilled? So therefore, you need to figure out how to become more fulfilled. And I believe it's being also on your right path, as you said, like being true to yourself, and then figuring out how to build a business that actually
Yeah.
matches your path and
Yeah,
you become as valuable as possible for the marketplace at the same.
makes sense. So I have a couple final questions, but before then, how can the audience get in touch with you? Like, what can we help you with? Who are you trying to meet?
Yeah, thanks for those questions. How to get in touch with me? It's super simple. You're probably posting my LinkedIn in the show notes. Just click that and send a connection request. Otherwise, rockandrollyourdream.com. That's my website. Feel free to check that out. I'm super excited getting in touch with you. And therefore, like, who am I looking to meet? I mean, right now I'm building two things. Like one is a entrepreneurial circle. I call it the Passion Millionaire Circle, which is for six-figure entrepreneurs who are driven. They know they are on something. They already have obviously customers. They have an offer that works, and they know they need to systemize, build systems in order to grow and stick on the path until they are a seven-figure company, right? So that's a Passion Millionaire Circle. That's one thing I'm building. So if you're on that path, feel free to reach out about that. If you're already a seven-figure entrepreneur, feel free to reach out about my Passion Millionaire Mastermind. Same thing, but seven-figure entrepreneurs that are actually working on getting their company exit ready. So make the company as valuable as possible as a system that works without the owner. So therefore, you have the option to sell it. Some people never want to sell it, but it frees you up if you can be away from the company and it continues making money. That's the path to be on.
I love it. I love it. And thanks for sharing your wisdom, Robert. So, final couple questions. What's one belief that you hold that you think most entrepreneurs would disagree with?
Wow, that's a great question. I believe follow your passion. I see a lot of very successful people also on the internet, entrepreneurs, disagree with that, and I can see the reasons for that. Still, my philosophy, it works. Like I saw a huge transformation in my life. I would say in a place in my life where I can definitely go on a Caribbean island for a very long time, do nothing, and be fine financially. Therefore, follow your passion works, but it needs to be done the right way. You need to figure out how to have a market and be valuable, as you love to say, Leon.
Mm,
You're 100% right.
yeah. Yeah. And last one is so you're 41. What's something that what's a belief that you held when you're in your 30s that you've changed your mind on?
Wow, that's a great question. I would say in my 30s, at least in my early 30s, let's say, I still have operated in a way of I'm willing to risk it all in order to build something. And I'm a different place in my life now. I mean, I've built a very stable life, which I'm happy about right now. And now I would say it doesn't make sense to risk it all, but rather it makes more sense to just make the stable base that you already have more stable and more stable and more stable and more stable and grow like that. Sometimes the path that looks slower is the faster one.
Yeah, you have to go slow to go fast. That's one important thing that I learned when I was training for my full marathon. So
Mhm.
I learned to run slower to run faster. It makes no sense, but it actually does.
I have done the same. That was the only way I personally could survive a marathon. Actually, Jeff
Yeah.
Galloway, if you've heard of that
Yeah.
person, he
Hmm.
wrote about that.
Interesting. Yeah. Very, very good. But yeah, thanks for coming on, Robert. It was a pleasure, and thanks for your wisdom.
Leo, thank you. I really appreciate it a lot, and thanks everybody for listening.
All right.